Welcome back to Random Witchcraft with your host, Vix.
And Callie, word up, people. I have resurrected. I'm no longer dead.
Yeah, we welcome back Callie.
Well, today's episode is very interesting. We're going to talk about... A lot of people feel that folklore and mythology are two separate things. But I've come to find out that they are under the same umbrella. And how we get folklore magic.
And of course, legends.
Yes, I was going to get into that. A lot of people exclude legend. Now, with my research, I had ended up coming up with the fact that myths are a traditional story that endures over centuries and time. They teach us how to run our lives, basically. Pass down stories. Those are the myths. Those are the folklore heroes that you end up hearing from different types of places. From Greece,
The folklore archetypes.
Yes. You're staying so quiet that I'm just like, are you just getting me back because I made you do an episode by yourself?
Maybe a little bit.
Fucker. Then we get into a section that not a lot of people end up discussing because they go, oh, it's legends. Legends is a whole different other part. But in reality, it's part of the folklore. How do you think they became legends? Their stories had to be passed down. And in order for it to be a legend, it has to have a historical, accurate documentation.
But does it really? Because there's a lot of legends that isn't necessarily documentation.
A lot of the legends that have not been documented yet, but have enough people that they can provide at least 100 verbal accounted witnesses, will become documented for the legend to live on.
Jersey Devil.
That is actually something that because we were going into this, I did look into some of the American folklore creatures.
The cryptids?
Yes, the cryptids. The Jersey Devil is finally getting its legendary status. Mothman just got theirs about 6 months ago.
Skunk Ape, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, the Yeti.
They're even trying to get the Chupacabra its legendary status.
I can see that.
And the last, but the most common one, where a lot of people go, oh, it's just a story, are the stories that are passed down. And it wasn't until people like the Brothers Grimm who ended up writing the stories down. And other historical authors that end up writing down those folklores. And whether you call them shamans, stregas, witches, druids, whatever you may name yourself, your folklore, your magic, comes from stories that were passed down to you.
I know, like, in the Celtic times, the stories were never written down. Especially with what came from the Druids.
Mm-hmm.
And they were never actually written down by the Druids ever. It was actually the Catholics that were actually hearing the stories, and they decided to document the legends and the mythology within the Celtic clans.
And to be honest, like I told my mother, we actually had a huge discussion, which rest in peace, but that was one of the many strong arguments that we had.
Interesting.
Because I ended up telling her, I was like, do you think those druids that sat there and had somebody eavesdrop on their traditional stories and had it written down by these Catholic poachers wouldn't have ended up helping karma to come get them?
I just like the Irish Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Whole lot of shit talking to each other, one on one, with the women out on the side taunting and screaming at them.
Yeah.
And a whole lot of stealing of cattle.
But then again, right now, and a lot of people are surprised that it's not known, but a lot of the ancestors that did get some of their family traditions documented are now suing the Vatican.
That's interesting.
It's just odd things like that you don't really end up, but once you start going down a rabbit hole of trying to find information, you just end up finding things out.
Doom scrolling.
It was more than just doom scrolling, honey.
Doom scrolling with writing stuff down.
Well, more like doom scrolling and absorbing stuff like a sponge.
Hey,
like
you got your purposes done.
Huh?
You got your purposes done. There was a purpose for your doom scrolling.
Well, yeah, but there's a funny thing that my Thea Lupus still says to this day. There's a reason why sometimes we keep you away from your computer or books. Because sometimes you're just a well of useless knowledge.
Master of random facts. I am guilty of that myself.
Yeah.
Random useless facts.
Yeah, but honestly, it probably helps us in this case because
it's our own. We are our own personal Sheldons.
Why did you have to go there? Now we're just sorry about that, people. The first thing that most folklore or most mythology, however you want to call it, ends up having in common are the serpent.
Snakes, the serpent is pretty much...
Who do we know that loves their snakes?
Pick one.
I don't know. Hecate, are you here?
Yeah, literally every single ancient culture has a depiction of serpents. At least every ancient culture that they've found, like the artifacts, there's always a serpent.
Yes, but like getting back to the druids, the goddess Nyx, one of the more difficult goddesses to find information on, or the goddess Lilith.
Nyx being Greek or Roman, Lilith being Abrahamic.
Mm-hmm.
Jewish religion, if you're not aware of the Abrahamic religions. It's pretty much Christianity.
But even good old Christians use the snake to depict the fact that the serpent is a trickster, is Lucifer.
There is a saying that the devil doesn't exist in witchcraft. That is actually not true. There is always a devil in witchcraft. But it's not what the Christians call the devil.
Mm-hmm.
It is the horned god, the trickster spirits, the nature spirits.
Yep.
Yeah, all cultures, we do have a type of devil. Whether it be the Jersey devil, or that trickster spirit that likes to lead people astray.
In also another trickster spirit for North America are two that most people go, but how? How is a raven a trickster spirit?
Same reason as a crow and
a coyote.
All corvids. And coyotes are not a corvid.
No, and a coyote is a trickster spirit.
Well, yeah. It's always the fox, the cunning fox, the wily coyote.
So are you the fox or the coyote today?
The runner of the road.
Mimi. But not only that, the serpent is used in many forms of starting off with the creation of life. You got the umbro, the serpent who eats its tail.
You actually have one of Loki's children, the earth-swallowing spirit, the brother of Loki, and Hel.
Mm-hmm. And then there was that one that I did not want to butcher.
No, not the brother of Loki. The child of Loki. The brother is Fenrir.
Yes, good old Fenrir.
Yep. Bit a man's hand off.
Nom nom.
Rawr.
What's for dinner?
Hand soup.
But, you know, with every creation, there has to be things that come along. And most people end up going with light, fire. How are they going to keep warm? If they allowed their children to flourish and be birthed into this world, how are they going to keep warm? How are they going to keep the evil things away?
It's definitely not holy water and crucifixes.
Wait, I thought holy water was, you know, whiskey. Or wine.
We'll just say vodka.
So you mean salad?
No, it's potato soup.
Well, I like potato salad.
Touché.
Wait. Sorry. My brain just went to little, Yes, child, it did. But there are, like, the legend of... I'm not going to mess that up. Here you go.
Talking about Prometheus?
I've been having this strange sensation. I got sick, and for some odd freaking reason, I see certain words, and I want to say them in Spanish.
Wouldn't it also be Prometheus? Because I think that name is actually Latin. Maybe. Possibly.
Or a Greek god.
Why not a Greek god, but they did use Latin too.
Sorry. Callie had a moment of running and chasing a moon rabbit. Sorry.
We had to pause for a second.
He had to go rein in the Callie that decided to chase a pretty moon rabbit. But speaking on the whole gift of fire, Prometheus stealing it from Zeus, punishing him. That is one of the many, different versions of that significant legend story. Comes out through many different cultures. I know that
I don't fully remember the Prometheus story. It's been a long time.
The Titan god Prometheus steals a fire for people and hides it in a reed. He provokes the wrath of Zeus, his cousin, and the many humanity who end up learning that if you rub two sticks together, you get fire.
Fire of the gods.
Exactly. That's why a lot of people see Prometheus as is known as the god of forethought, the bringer of fire.
That's actually very interesting.
We'll end up soon diving into Greek
Mythology,
gods and goddesses.
Folklore, legends, deities.
Yes.
And pretty soon we might start a series on different parts of the folk magic of North America.
Yes. That includes also, Alaskan Indian tribes, Native American tribes.
It'd be regional.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Northeast. With the powwow. Which I first learned about from a book that is no longer in print and is very expensive.
You don't say. Most of the great books that, give the best information have gone.
Yeah, that book is Hexcraft by Silver Ravenwolf. That is a very old book, and it's, when you find it, it's usually over $100. Or in very bad condition.
True. Then we have another common mythology is the sky ladder. It's most commonly used in West African folklore, Chinese, Korean, and North American.
That one actually sounds like it might have a link to the Tower card in Tarot. Trying to get closer to the gods and the gods striking it down and destroying it.
You're not even looking at the book and you read a part of it.
Well, I know the story of that one.
Again, we always state, go out there and learn whatever you can.
Hey, if it interests you, read about it, find out about it,
Yep.
learn new things, and find new things you like.
We do love doing that.
And spirit and experimentation.
Wait, I thought that's what you do in college with the girl.
And it can or not necessarily what I mean about sex magic.
Oh, that's not this. Oh, yeah, it's mythology. Sorry, I thought we were going into a new, just throw them for a loop and let's talk about sex magic.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
No. You better stop, because you know how I get with that song.
So yes, sex magic will be a future episode.
Yes. And the last common one that is shared with many mythological is the sun and the moon. You have
Sol and Luna.
Or for our Aztec loving people. Oh yeah, no, I ain't even gonna try. I may be Mexican, but I can't even. Nope. My mother would be mad.
Huitzilopochtli is fed with human sacrifices.
Yes.
The Aztecs have 5 sun gods.
Mm-hmm. And then you have, thanks to Disney sharing a bit of Polynesian folklore, Maui.
Yeah.
Maui ended up, in the Polynesian folklore, Maui ended up tying the sun, bringing it down close, beating it, so his people can work longer.
Ooh, in your fun little book here, I just learned something.
Hmm.
The Native American Algonquin tribe have different names for the full moon in each month, related to nature and the seasons.
Yes.
Such as the wolf moon in January, when hungry wolves howl at night, the pink moon in April, on account of a type of pink flower that begins to bloom in this month. I wonder if that's where all of the names come from.
You think?
Coming from the Algonquin tribe of North America.
Yes.
The Inuit, the indigenous people of Alaska, Greenland, and the Arctic, explained the existence of the sun and the moon with the legend of the moon god Aningan and his sister, the sun goddess Malina. The two live together until one day they quarrel. Melina leaves and Aninagan follows her. The pursuit continues for a long time and Ananagan forgets to eat and becomes extremely thin. This accounts for the waning phase of the moon. When the moon vanishes completely, it is understood that Aningan is looking for food. These cycles of pursuit, pause, and finally catching his sister account for the waxing and the waning of the moon and the solar eclipse.
Uh-huh.
Moon rabbit.
That's what I said. I went to go chase a moon rabbit.
Ra, Re, is the ancient Egyptian sun god and creator of the world.
Yep.
And there is the Chinese mythology about the rabbit in the moon.
Yes.
Or the hare in the moon.
The hare in the moon.
Is that saying that we have a hairy moon? Well, some
it's
boys...
a woman, Chang'e the woman who lives on the moon, and she is once an immortal who became mortal in result of bad behavior, trying to regain her immortality. She takes a magic pill, but then gets greedy and takes too many and floats up to the moon. She's eventually allowed to have a companion to the moon. So this moon rabbit is also called the Jade Rabbit. The moon goddess Selene in Greek mythology and Luna in Roman mythology.
I wonder if that's where they get the name selenite from.
You think? Oy vey. Boy, with the poodles in here. If anybody knows where I got that from, y'all are awesome.
Yeah, there's a reason why it's not called lunatite. That wouldn't sound very right.
Well.
Or you get a little piece of it called a lunatic.
That's what you are. Oh, such helpful random information that we give. But this is just a small little, tidbit of just stuff that we share in common with other practices.
Yes, keep an ear out for future episodes where we dive a bit more deeper into some of these topics.
Especially because I kind of just, giggle when I told somebody, and I told Bix that somebody was like, no, there's no such thing as a moon rabbit. I was like, yes, there is. So now that you're listening to this, you know who you are.
Haha.
Bite me. Well, anything else would you like to add?
I think we have covered everything I could think of.
And we gave a little freaking tidbits of future episodes. I bet we're going to have a lot of listeners for that sex magic episode.
And probably if we decide to dabble into vampirism.
Oh no, we are.
Well, vampiric magic.
Vampiric magic. And we're also going to get into how it is shared different ways of different cultures have different ways of calling vampires, demons, and spirits.
And then you have the actual vampire magic and the sect that believes in the inner dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And the fact that we're probably going to get into the whole thing of, there's many different types of vampires. You got, energy vampires.
You have energy vampires, you have languid vampires, which drink blood.
Yeah.
You have the living and the undead on both. Then you have the ones that live their lives as that. And you have the mythological ones.
But, again, as we state, with every mythology, there is a form of historical truth. For God's sakes. For God's sakes, we had a queen that would sacrifice young virgin maids and bathe in their blood.
Are you referring to Elizabeth Bathory?
Maybe.
She might not have actually been a queen. I've heard some things that kind of...
Oh, yeah, that's right. They were questioning her ruleship and looking back into her family tree. You're right. You're right. That's still a pending whether or not, but they still say until she is proven that she wasn't a queen, you cannot take that away from her.
True. Well, you also have another ruler that is involved with vampirism on the legend mythological side.
Oh.
Dracula. Vlad Tepes. Vlad Dracul of the Order of the Dragon.
Yes.
You know, there are still people that believe that he's going to come back to life and rule the Romanian countryside again.
For God's sakes, people think that I'm the reincarnation of Hitler. At least that's what some of my gaming friends tell me.
Well then, on that note.
Right?
Till next week, where we explore a fun new topic.
Indeed.
That's a secret.
And
till next week.
We'll see you all. Hopefully Vix won't kill me again.
Bye.
Bye.
Just one more thing before we sign off for the day. If you would like to send us any comments, concerns, or any questions, or if you would like to support this podcast, or for any future endeavors, click the links below. Thank you.